Try it again. Hello, welcome everyone. Welcome to Level Up Together, where we talk about all things text concepts and get insights and share and get to grow together. So let me just share my screen here. Let's see. All right. Okay, see my shared screen. All right. So today is December 16th, and today for Level Up Together, we are going to try to cover perceptual positions and representational systems, two of very cool concepts that are fun to learn about. And let's see, how do we do this? Um, and then just to go over that by being here, you're giving me the permission to be recorded, and these will be used as just educational purposes, so other people who cannot join today can watch the replays, and catch up on what they missed out on. And so I'm a level 4 practitioner, and here as your host and coach. I'm not your mentor. Robert is mentoring. He's the mentor. We are just all sharing our insights, our understandings, and helping each other grow and sharing our uh, valuable understandings from living our own lives, our examples, and it's just always so cool that we all have our own perceptions, but we can all learn. Started. Hello, everyone. So today, let's get started with the perceptual position. In my level 1 book, it's on page 46. So it might be around there for you guys somewhere.
I'm gonna be real. I'm moving, and my book is here. Swear to God.
Somewhere.
But currently, I can't find anything I own. I've found my
I
left,
understand.
so I'm just gonna
Absolutely.
listen today for. I just can't read.
No problem. And I was thinking we can also just like raise our virtual hands and whoever wants to read, so we can just kind of keep taking turns. So Courtney, Ellie, Aaron, welcome, Katie. Whoever would like to read, just raise your hand and we can just keep taking turns. Aaron, would you like to go? Would you like to read?
Start. I was working on trying to raise my hand, but you called me out faster. All right. If you are wanting to update your life, the key is knowing what are the rules of the mind, how your mind is holding or representing your memory. By working from inside the mind's eye, how we are holding memory and recognizing how it is holding the past, we gain the inner knowledge of our creative self. The perceptual positions refer to the four different points of view from which we can experience life's situations. Not only do we encode memories from one or more of these, we can also consciously choose to see situations from any of these. This simple realization of what is occurring within opens the door for personal power and change. You can make bigger changes by checking your PIFs, problem, issue, pain, or symptom, from each of these to discover previously hidden aspects. So, first position is associated, seeing a situation from your own viewpoint or through your own eyes. Second situation is seeing a situation from another's viewpoint or through their eyes. Third position is disassociated, seeing a situation from an outside viewpoint as if watching a movie. And fourth position, disassociated, is seeing a situation from a universal and all encompassing viewpoint, or as if you know what they all think.
Any insights on that, Aaron?
I really like how mechanical it makes everything. Just like this is what you do to work on this. This is what you do to shift a perspective around something. And like it's nice how revelatory it is for a lot of people. For for me when I was learning it, about how um, oftentimes when we store a memory, when we go back to revisit a memory that was tough, we don't realize we're doing this. We don't realize, like, oh, I'm actually not in my body as I experienced it back then. When I go back to visit that, I'm seeing myself do whatever I'm doing, or you know, I know what the other person's thinking, kind of a thing. When physically, like, we know that's not possible. Like, unless you can read minds, it's like I can't get inside of your head. I can't see what you're seeing. I can't think what you're thinking. But in that moment, going back to revisit that memory, it's like it's so clear. Like, of course they're thinking that. And then when we examine it a little bit, or like start to work on the tapping and new tactics, it's like, yeah, I was making that up. Like, and we all know that we do that, but it's funny like how automatic it is, and it's really nice when we start to use it as a tool, like as something that we can work with. Um, I can start to make these big changes.
Yes, certainly. Thank you. Beautiful. Anyone else? Insights, sharing experiences, examples, perceptual positions. I also feel like when we remember a memory and we're like um looking at ourselves in the memory, that's not how we recorded it. So if we are like seeing ourselves in the memory, we couldn't have seen ourselves in the actual situation. So the memory has already changed. So there's a proof in there itself that memories change, that memories are not permanent and fixed, and this is how they get recorded. They're changing because, if we can see people, we can see ourselves walking around in the memory or going through the experience like, oh, that changed. We decided to step out of a body and we're looking at it because we are disassociating ourselves from the memory. And another cool experience I had was I was working on a memory and I thought everything was good in this memory and all is good. And then I changed positions with this person. And oh boy, all this pain and hurt and all this came up and that other person's pain, but of course it was my pain because everything inside of me is me. So it's like the pain was hiding inside this person. And when I stepped into this person, I got aware of a lot of pain that was hiding. So that was it's a really good tool to, as Aaron said, it makes everything mechanical. And so you can just like, okay, check it from this position, check it from this position. And so we can check and correct everything that we need to, heal. So it makes it really, really good tool, certainly. Anyone else would like to share anything? Any insights? Hello, everyone who just came in and joined. So yeah, please feel welcome to share any insights, examples, life experiences, whatever showed up for you. And if not, raise your hand if you would like to read on the next page. We're on page 45, 46, perceptual positions and level one book. Okay, if nobody else, I'll read the next page. I have the perceptual positions diagram, which is a really cool diagram. Of course, we didn't talk about the first position, second position, third, and fourth, which you can see in the diagram here. It's like looking at it through your own eyes or looking at it through mom's eyes, looking at it from the fly's point of view or the world view, how everyone sees us. So the next page is not only can these various positions help you change your problems, they can also help you be a better communicator in your everyday dealings with others. Learning how to see things from different perspectives can help you eliminate a lot of internal pain and suffering by giving you the ability to interpret situations in new ways instead of the same old stories you have always made up. So I think it's very wise right there. Any other insights? Anyone wants to share anything? Sherry?
Nope, scusi. I had forgotten this and all at once I was like, oh, okay, I remember. Sorry.
Yeah, it's good things to keep rehearsing and keep revisiting. Any other insights, anyone?
One thing that comes to mind is I like how it says how they can help you be a better communicator and other in everyday dealings.
Yeah.
Um, for me growing up, there was this kind of assumption or presumed truth that like, oh, everybody else knows what they're talking about, and I'm the only one that's confused. And so like when somebody comes off and they're so certain about things, it's like, okay, they're certain they must be correct, they must be right. And so is there something wrong in me? And thinking about or learning about the structure of perception inside of every brain is doing it some on something about something just help me understand like, oh, okay, so they like everybody including me is like we're working with a certain set of information, um, and they may feel conviction, they may feel emotions that they're feeling, um, based on the set of information. So it helps me to interact with other people in a way that's like, oh, okay, let me try to ask them, let me try to guess, let me try to like interact with the kind of information that they're working with to figure out, to develop their perception on the world, their interpretation of it, to understand how they're making decisions, so that I can work with them better, and so I can align with them, show them that we're working together, or communicate more clearly, so that we make some progress. It was really cool just to be like, oh, it's not like this void, this like confusing um, mist that's happening inside of people's heads that I can't see, I can't understand. It made it more relatable, more understandable. It was nice.
Yeah, totally true, very true. And I also noticed that I can cultivate more compassion for people. It's like always like cultivating this habit of stepping into the other person's shoes, like what they may seem like, or, when we are just in our own hurts and pains, the other person may seem like the victimizer or the oppressor or whatever, but, always cultivating the habit of stepping into the other person's shoes. What might they really be experiencing? Maybe they're scared and they're just trying to put on this persona or something. I don't know. Or maybe they're hurt and they're not sharing. Maybe they're just being happy, but they're hurting inside. Who knows? It always, brings us to this place. Okay, let's step into the other person's shoes. Not, and we become less selfish and a little more selfless, perhaps. Hopefully, you know, just try to grow. Anything else, anyone?
Oh,
All right. So the next is the representation systems. Anyone would like to read? Sure.
Okay, this is page 46, right? Representational systems, is that where we are?
Yes.
All right. I don't know what NLP is. New life, please. I don't know what that means. So,
Neurolingual programming.
okay, I don't know and I don't care. Sorry. Okay. NLP senses are referred as representational systems, also known as modalities. The limbic system takes in the world through the five senses. It is a personal translation that is unique to each individual. Each modality could represent an entire experience. We may only notice one modality, or we may notice all of them, or any combination. Each modality is a memory in and of itself, which means you may have a feeling or sensation, and that alone is a memory without any visual auditory representation. And the modalities in memories are visual, auditory, kinesthetic, olfactory, and gustatory. Gustatory? Non lo so come si dice. How do you say that?
Gustatory in English, gustatory in Italian.
Okay, grazie. Gustatori. Taggio. Okay. Some modalities are the fine distinctions and oh, did you want me to stop? I'm sorry, I'm really
No, please go ahead. Please go ahead.
okay.
Yeah.
Some modalities are the fine distinctions and qualities within each representational system. They are also the building blocks of our thoughts and memories. To find the references your subconscious, unconscious mind limbic system is using in creating a specific PIPS, you need to ask yourself questions. How do you know you have the problem? Is it a feeling, a sound, or a picture? Where in your body do you feel, hear, or see it? One of the most valuable aspects is the location of any internal experiences. In other words, where you feel it in your body. Is it above, below, inside, outside, in front of, behind, or a certain body part, etc.? You may keep going or stop. Oh,
Sorry.
it's okay. It's important to note that each memory can
Okay.
and most likely, I'll stop.
No,
What?
you're good. You can keep going.
Okay, it's important to note that each memory can and most likely will be represented differently. Just because you hear your mom's voice on your left side does not mean you will necessarily hear the screeching tires on the left side. You may hear those inside your head, and this is true for all submodalities. Yeah, I found that really in this. I'm sorry, I'm just jabbering. I find
Please.
this really interesting with these 5 things and how you can feel it. I very seldom, sometimes I'll hear things, but most of the time it's all just feeling inside there. It's not a taste or anything, but yeah, for me. But I think I guess it is valuable to know the location of it, but I don't know why. Why is it important to know where it is? I mean, that's my question. It's a question to you,
Okay.
oh, expert that
So,
you are.
well, we are all our own experts, right? And we all have our insights that we can teach each other and help each other. But in my experience, why is it necessary to know? Is it visual, auditory, kinesthetic, olfactory, gustatory?
Huh.
We're checking all 5. It's not necessary to know, but we're checking. Do you see anything? So, like,
Right.
you go to the memory. How do you know you have this problem? Oh, I see my scary face. Okay, so we know that they're seeing it. Okay, do you hear anything? So, they might just change the face because that was the strongest one. But then we're also checking, do you hear anything? Do you hear her words? Do you feel any feelings in your body? Because they might still hold on to that scary feeling inside. They just cleared out the picture, but because we think memories mostly, mostly people you ask, okay, do you have a memory of this? They would refer to a picture, oh, this movie, oh, I see it, but the memory could be visual, it could be auditory, it could be kinesthetic, it could be olfactory, gustatory, it could be all 5, or it could be any one. Some people don't have a picture, they just have a feeling. They just feel anxious. They don't know where it's coming from, but that's the memory. So it's necessary to know how they know they have a problem. Like they have anxiety, say, taking examinations, right? So how do you know you have this problem? Oh, I feel this anxiety. Oh, when was it before you felt it? Like when was the first time you felt it? When was the strongest time you felt it? And then we can go pinpoint those individual memories, right? They may not see the examination room, but they just felt that feeling, and that's where it came
Right.
from. So that's why
Okay.
we want to check all 5 modalities, because these are the building blocks of our memories. And in their conscious awareness, they may only have one, they may just be like smelling something or a bad taste come to the mouth, right? So sometimes
Right.
we block all the other modalities out. They don't remember any of it because it was traumatic, it was scary, right? But they may just have a taste. And so as we clear up the taste, they may become aware of, oh, the feeling, oh, the picture, the sounds. So we want to make sure we clear up all 5, or we ask them, which one do
Okay.
you experience? Katie, did you
Great.
have a question? Or do you have any
No,
insights to share?
I just wanted to add, sorry, my hair is too haggard for the camera right now, but I just wanted to add like I also get the feeling, a very kinesthetic feeling through all of my memories. And so it's really helpful for me to know to locate like where it is so that when I'm doing the process of tapping, when I like checking in on my suds, I can give a rating because it's like the feeling in my stomach will start off as a 10, but it'll lessen and lessen and lessen. So like and be able to locate where it is, you can see the progress that you're making.
Absolutely, yeah. Especially the kinesthetic ones, you can actually like really notice the progress because the picture sometimes will get blurry and then you can, make the progress. But the kinesthetic one is very body centered and you get more aware of what's going on, certainly. Thank you, Katie. Anyone else has any questions, any insights, anything you would like to
It
share?
just something reminded me of what Katie said about how you're noticing changes and feeling progress that way. That was a big thing. Is like when I'm starting to tap on memories, trying to get that flip of like rewriting them. Um, there would be this kind of like this isn't working. Like it's not. I don't feel. I'm not noticing progress. But then noticing that the submodalities, like when I'm going back to check the memory, they are changing, and they are like which sense is taking the forefront, which one is has my attention. That is a shift, and that is a sign of like, oh, the brain is starting to adapt and starting to rewrite this. This is just like recognizing like, oh, okay, progress is being made, even though I'm not there yet. Like things are starting to adjust, and we're just like cleaning up all the pieces that I couldn't see in detail from the overview. It was encouraging.
Absolutely, yes, yes. So like one modality might start changing and one is good, and then then we can notice, okay, change is happening. Okay, what else is there? Changing the sound then. And like, what else is there? Do you feel any feelings? And the pictures are gone. Pictures are better. So we can just notice our suds go down. So really, the level one accountabilities are awesome. Like when we practice the modalities, the different ways to work on ourselves, like just practice going through all the different modalities and we really become aware of how to work on ourselves. So yeah, thank you. I posted an email of Kiara Barone. She was looking for accountability partners for level one practices. So if anybody wants to, um, you can contact her. Yeah, certainly. Meeting accountability is finished. Through email in the chat group. All right. Any other insights? Now we can explore the individual submodalities. Who would like to read? Anyone? Mary?
No.
Okay. Anyone would like to read?
I can do.
Sure.
This is the examples, the table.
Yeah. Yes. I guess in my book it's like the visual, auditory, kinesthetic.
Yeah. All right. So visual representational system includes sight, images, and spatial. So examples are location, left, right, up, down, size,
Okay.
distance.
Yeah, I have the, I don't know if you have, or we're missing, I have this page on 48. Here are the examples of some modalities-based questions. Visual, is it a movie or not? Do you have that, or did they change it?
Oh,
I'm not
got it.
sure.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, got it. All right. So visual. So examples of submodality-based questions. Visual. Is it a movie or a still picture? Associated or disassociated? Is it panoramic or does it have a frame around it? How far away is it? Is it bright or dark? Is it in color or black and white? Focused or out of focus? Picture or a scene as if looking out of your own eyes? Auditory. Does the memory have sounds? Is it loud or soft? Is the tone soft or harsh? Does it sound full or thin? What direction does it come from? Does it move fast or slowly? Is it clear or dull? Do you hear it on stereo or mono? Kinesthetic. If it had a shape, what shape does it possess? If it had weight, how heavy would it be? Do you experience the feeling as having a texture? Where in the body do you experience the feelings? How intense is the feeling, emotion, or sensation? Use specific questions. Instead of asking, what does your favorite food taste like? Ask, what does chocolate taste like? Asking a generalized question forces the mind to sort through a great deal of information, all the foods you like, and maybe even those you don't, to find out which is the favorite. The taste of chocolate, on the other hand, asks for exactly what you need.
Any insights, Sarah?
It's interesting, like playing with these different ways of experiencing the world, because some of these questions are not ways that I normally experience things. You know, like seeing a frame around something, for example, is not common for me. In like in daily life or in experiencing memories or whatever it is. And so it's interesting to like to get more capability, to get more options, to be able to play with representation, like how it happens internally. Um, to be able to like to understand that really the only thing that is real is the present moment. All memory is something that's being created now. We imagine that it's how it happened in the past, but it's a production that's happening inside the brain now. Same with the future. And so it's kind of like the sages were right, like now is the only reality. Um, and it's interesting thinking about what was the other one? Yeah. How metaphoric the mind is. Like the more you start to dig into like kinesthetic, for example, like if it had a shape, what shape does it possess? Um, it's interesting looking at problems that we experience, like a relationship or a mental block or something, and start to give it aspects, start to give it qualities based on the senses, or start to identify how our mind is already doing it based on the five senses, and start to understand like, oh, the mind underneath waking consciousness, the mind gets very metaphoric very quickly. Like it loves stories, it loves things that are like that, like imagery and archetypes and things like that. So this is a really, it's a nice introduction to being able to speak that language.
Correct, certainly. Yeah, I like what you said, like the mind is very metaphoric, and then those memories of the past could be, all these are metaphors of how we experienced it back then. So certainly. And then like, why is it important to ask such detailed questions? Like, is it a movie or a picture? Associated or dissociated? Panoramic? Or is it a frame? How far is it? How bright it is? How dark it is? What color or black and white? Focused or out of focused? Picture or a scene, like looking at your own eyes. Like, why is it important to ask these questions? Why is it important that we know how is it represented in the inside? You could just say, oh, it's a picture, or is it like I'm seeing it? Why is it important to be so specific? Sort do you, what do you think? Aaron?
Some of the audio dropped off for me. I didn't hear the
Oh,
last two sentences or so that you
oh,
said.
okay. So I was just wondering, why is it important for us to have such specific um pinpointedness of how it is going on inside our brains? How is the memory being represented? Why is it important for us to like is the sound like sharp or is it dull or like why is it so important to know specifics?
Um, it's interesting. There's a few things that come to mind. It's like that understanding how the brain is producing the things, so the brain is producing our experience. It's taking, what is it? I don't remember the math, but it was like so many billions of possible data points that it's interpreting and receiving and working with moment to moment and narrowing that all down into five, that we're consciously focused on, for example. And so there's a lot of filtration that happens. And so being able to have a conscious mind experience and say, like, you know what? I don't like this pain. How is my mind doing that? Then we're kind of going back into that filtration process to say, like, oh, so what is my brain doing to produce this? And so to do that, we get into some of the specifics of this is how it's representing something that I'm hearing or something that I'm feeling physically. And so by understanding the specifics of how the brain is doing that, we start to kind of follow down the rabbit trail or peel the onion or whatever metaphor you want to use. Again, metaphors to say, like, this is how my brain interprets reality. This is how it makes things make sense. Um, and Robert's got other points in his trainings and in the book here about how everything that it is doing is an attempt to keep us safe. It's saying like this worked or this felt good enough. This kept us out of danger. Um, Whereas when we experience the results of some of the choices that our unconscious are making, we might be frustrated or we might not like that. And so it's really like this dialogue of saying like, okay, so here's my conscious mind that I'm aware of, that I'm in control of on one side, and my unconscious that I'm not too familiar with yet. And like starting to have that conversation. And so to your point about the specifics, how they're important, it's like we're paying attention to the nuance of the meaning, the representation that the subconscious is using to have that dialogue. And by understanding that more, we start to navigate it more. We start to be able to create things that we do want, that we're excited about, that we're happy with more skill, with more creativity, more power.
Correct. Yes, definitely. It's very important to know how the mind is representing the memory. So it's like when we're clearing it out, it's like, okay, how is it that we know? How do we like, okay, I see it, but what do you see? What's specific? Um, and so we can also like record how it's changing. Okay, it was color now, it's black and white. That means kind of getting a little less impactful. And then it's getting fuzzier, it's like getting less impactful. So we can just keep track how it's changing, how it's getting lesser and lesser in our brains. So it's like always like keeping track of when we're working on ourselves or when we're working on others. Sherry, did you have?
Oh, yeah, that really wasn't, but do we need to know this too so that we can have something specific to tap on and so that it's not
Yeah,
so, wow, I've got these memories. Let me see if I can get rid of whatever's here. I mean, to me, that's one of the reasons it's important to find that, I think. I don't know for sure.
no, totally true. Yeah, keep going. It's very
No, that
important.
if you know, whoa, it's really right here because mine are always here. That if it's there and I just kind of take that heavy feeling and put it away and then tap on it to let it go, then if I can judge easier when it gets less and less and less. I mean, to me, that's
Exactly. So
why,
you got this right.
yeah, you can't, because I think sometimes if you don't kind of pinpoint where you're feeling it, then you've got so many things, it's hard to pinpoint down to one thing. And maybe that can lead, that get rid of that will go, oh, probably that has to do with this. And then you go back and you change that. I think that to me, that's what that kind of means. I don't know.
Exactly. Like pinpointing where it is, and then okay, heaviness, I feel it in my chest. And then how heavy is it? Is it 10 pounds? Is it 100
Right,
pounds?
right. Mhm.
It's just another way of doing the stats, right? How
Mhm.
heavy is it? Or how like I don't know the sound. How sharp is it? Like when we know it, then we can, as we're tapping on it, we can just okay, it's going down. It's going down, so we can keep track. Certainly.
Right.
Thank you. Good point. Anyone else? Any insights? And would like to share? If I can read the important facts about representational systems and submodalities. So the representational, the five senses, easy to remember in five senses, sight, sound, sensations, taste, and smells are known as modalities or representational systems. When using your tactics to change memories, we want to change all of these modalities from negative to positive. In other words, if you remember someone saying to you, you're stupid, You want to use your haptics to change that memory so that you're remembering them saying something like, "You're so clever. I'm so proud of you." Submodalities submodalities make up the modalities. They are the detail and the qualities. For example, bright, loud, accurate, bitter, pressure. Noticing these details in the memories is how we aim the subconscious at changing the modalities and in turn the memory. Some modalities are the smallest building blocks of memories. So when we say like aim first before just starting to tap, aim. So what are you aiming at? Like, are we aiming at the pressure we're feeling? How heavy is it? How much pressure? Aim at that. 100 pounds. Okay, that 100 pounds of pressure. And then we tap on it. Then we work on it. How bright it is, how loud it is. We aim at that. And then we're tapping on it. So it helps us aim. Anything else you want to share?
Um, I don't know, maybe it's just my computer, but your sound is kind of in and out, and
Let
it's a
me check.
little, and it's kind of sometimes. I mean,
There you go.
yeah,
This should be better.
because I've
This
got my
should be
sound
better.
up. Oh,
Okay,
good.
this should be better. I'm sorry.
That's
There you go.
okay because I thought it was just me. Okay.
Okay, sorry about that, everyone. Yeah, my computer did not change it to my headphone mics. Okay. So, would you like me to read it again, anyone?
Well,
All right. And anything you would like to share, anyone?
no.
So pretty simple. The five senses, easy way to remember because sometimes like, oh, what was it? Okay, it's the five senses, eyes, nose, ears, and then touch and taste.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and smells, not touch, but yeah, touch is yeah, you got the
Kinesthetic.
touch, which is the kinesthetic, and then taste and smell. Okay, so who would like to read? There's the table, pretty simple, similar to what we already read. But we got this big table. Anyone would like to read through it or discuss anything?
I'm happy to read it.
Okay, yes, Randall, please.
Okay, so let's talk about the first representational system of visual, sight, images, spatial, location, left, right, up, down, size, distance, far and near, how you see it, right? Moving, static, still images, panoramic brightness, color, black and white, sharp, fuzzy. Is it framed? Is there an album? Is there a movie screen that you're looking at? Shape would be convex, curves out, concave, curves in, specific shapes, still photos, slideshow, video, moving, looping, style, photo, painting, poster, drawing, real life. If the person happens to be quite dominantly visual, then you can help them change that by helping them change what they're seeing. In auditory, sound, voice, songs, jingles, and tones. The location can be in all four directions. A distance can be far or near. How loud is it in your head? Qualities, the volume, the pitch, the tone, the tempo, rhythm, mono, stereo. What does that person's voice sound like in your head, kind of thing? Are they angry? Are they sad? Variations, is the sound looping? Is it fading in and out? Is the motion, is there a moving location? And voice, whose voice, one or many words, other background sounds, including that. And again, we can guide ourselves by changing the sound so that it's bringing us some peace. I often add the sound of waves coming in. I find helpful. Kinesthetic is feelings, emotions, and sensations. Proprioception, somatic sensations, intensity. Where in the body are you feeling it? Is there movement associated with the feelings that you're feeling? Tacitation is a pressure, texture, the type of sensation. Thermoception is temperature. And then there's olfactory and gustatory, subsets of kinesthetic. There's smell and scent, taste, sweet, salty, sour, bitter, flavors, textures, location on tongue. And just to add just a little bit to this is that you can also get hints of how a person processes these different modalities based on the words they use when they're talking to you. And if you're trying to make the best connection or create rapport, you want to try and match those words, so that you're not using visual words to somebody who happens to be auditory. They won't relate as well.
Absolutely. Thank you. Yes, exactly. Yes, certainly. Yeah, so it's like all the details, like all these different ways we can have all these visual, auditory, kinesthetic, olfactory, gustatory things in our brains. So it's like to be able to pinpoint and aim and change that aspect of it, as Randall said, to like really see whether the visual or, as level one, when we're working on ourselves, we're like noticing inside, is it the pictures we are seeing right now? Which one is the most strongest one? Picture, or is it sounds, or is it kinesthetic sensations in the body, or is it something else? And how? How is it? Like the first question is like, how do you know? Okay, I feel okay. How do you know? What do you feel like? Is oh, I feel the heaviness. How heavy is it? Just going into the detail. So we're talking the language of the brain, giving it how the brain is giving to us, whether with ourselves or other people. If we're working with the others, how is the brain giving it to us? Yeah, certainly. Thank you. Anyone else like to share anything? All right, we still have 15 minutes. The next topic in my book is the aspects, the tree to the forest. Is it the same for everyone else?
Mm-hmm.
Would anyone like to read?
Read.
Indeed.
Oh my God. Okay,
Sure, do you want?
go. No, you. Oh, please, you.
You have a great voice. Italian makes such great vocal tones. Talking about submodalities.
See, no. Bye. Go.
All right. Every issue in your life has many aspects that support the problem. The aspects are considered the trees, and the problem is considered the forest. For example, when you have difficulty or unresolved issues surrounding the death of a loved one, which is the forest, you may have several issues or aspects, trees, that support the problem. As you address each tree, eventually the whole forest will be gone. Sorry, PDF difficulties. You may deal with loss, abandonment, rejection, loneliness, guilt, and many other emotions that support the problem. You may shift from one emotion or aspect to another after each tapping round. Always test and retest so that you can clear the entire problem. In each memory, there are many aspects in different regions of the brain, visually, kinesthetically, auditory, olfactory, and gustatory. So going inside the mind's eye, notice how it is represented. And then as you make the fine adjustments, it will create a shift in the memory. Your goal is to get the SUDS rating down to 0, and then if you don't get all aspects of the problem cleared, you will continue to experience issues in your life related to those aspects.
Sights on that, Aaron?
What was it? I was talking with a few people, and Robert's talked about this, throughout his trainings about how, like when he was starting in Oklahoma, there was some, what was it? He would spend like an hour out of a 2-hour session or half of the session, whatever it was, explaining what was about to happen, explaining what was going on. And I've noticed that too. There's some people that, I'm explaining this stuff, and it's like, don't change my memories, like, or they're nervous about it, or they think they're brainwashing themselves, or whatever they had a few different ways of describing it. And those are, fair enough. Those are fair concerns. But it's interesting to, yeah, just think about it from coming back to, I have a problem. The way that I'm perceiving reality is uncomfortable, or it's not productive. It's not helping me. It's not helping me help others. Um, and then you start, like, once you get over that hurdle, you start to dig into, like, well, I'm representing this other person that really screwed up my life, or that I don't like, or whatever it is, or this version of myself from my past that I don't like. How I'm representing that is a production inside of my mind. It's not them anymore. That moment isn't happening anymore. This is a production. This is a play. This is a movie inside my head. And so kind of like that acceptance of like, oh, I'm doing this to me. Like that's a shift for a lot of people. And it's an interesting shift. And it's a journey just to come to that point to then to be able to dig into this stuff and say like, oh, okay, so actually like this passage is saying like this I said there's a forest full of all these little components. And these components are producing this experience that I am perceiving from the outset as like that's just how it was. That's just how I like my memory is fact, kind of an impression. So yeah, it's fun to have gone through this, to be able to be like, oh, okay, memories are not reality. They're an impression of what happened once, but now it's different than the production is different than what was, and then to start to shift it and like when as I'm starting to shift it, noticing like, okay, so is the forest cleared yet? No, there may be some aspects that I'm not seeing yet. There may be some trees that are like tucked away in some corners that I just haven't found yet. And like to your point, I think it was about the specifics. Like that's when you're like, okay, the problem isn't gone yet. There are some specific trees that I need to go try to track down and work on. So
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Definitely. Definitely, definitely. To be able to really check every aspect and I really like how you shared that, you have a problem with somebody, oh, how am I doing it inside? You know, somebody doing is saying something or doing something. How is it impacting me? There's the tree inside of me that I need to take care of here because, there's a problem. Is the problem with the other person or I have a problem inside of me? So that's a very good point. And another example, Robert talks about it, like, and they mentioned it's like somebody died. Okay, how do you know this is a problem? Because people die, it's a natural phenomena. It's a natural thing. How do we have a problem? Are we feeling um pain of loss? Why? Okay, is it abandonment? Okay, so checking the abandonment. Okay, when were you abandoned before, right? Or people say if somebody died and then some people, it's a problem. They're holding on to the hurt. Oh, because mom gave the ring to my sister and she died. Oh, and then sister was there when mom passed away and I wasn't there, even though I was taking care of mom. So why is it mom dying a problem? Like, then we clear up those aspects. So it's really important to like really dig in and aim. Why is it a problem? How are we making it a problem inside of ourselves? So we really get really honest with ourselves. Why is there a problem here? Because we're all created here to be just joyful, beautiful beings, contributing to the world and living the best, fullest, happy life that we can bring this to others, right? But we are holding on to the pain of maybe somebody passing or like something happening. Why are we holding on to that? So finding this tree of the problem and what are the aspects, clearing out all the aspects. It's like, and as it says in the book, it'll shift. Some in the beginning, like this just hurt and pain. Oh, and then it comes down to like loneliness, and then there's guilt, and then there could be jealousy. There could be just like shifting through the different emotions and then we can clear out each one of them. Okay, how do you know there's jealousy? Like, how do you know you're jealous? What happened? Where did you notice that before? What's the problem? So just circling through it and clearing out the whole forest. Yeah. Any other insights, anyone?
Well, I just want to say, I think this is so clever. I obviously somehow missed this page I thought, oh, trees in the forest. Well, wasn't that person so smart to come up with that? And I can't even concentrate because I'm so mesmerized by the trees in the forest. But yes, ditto to everything that this young man said. I can never remember his name. Oh, Aaron. 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 Non lo so. Ok, scusa. Oh,
The other thing I'd like to add about that is it's it's helpful to recognize that while there may be 1,000 trees in your forest or different aspects of the problem that keeps that problem in place, once you've knocked over a bunch of trees, it's often experienced that the rest of the trees collapse along with, so you don't have to do all 1,000 different aspects to get the problem to collapse.
Sometimes one big tree can just take down a lot of different trees, you know.
Mhm.
Yeah, true. Thank you, Randall. Anyone else or who would like to read next?
I'll read.
Thank you.
Sure. Important facts about aspects. And thank you, Randall. You're also brilliant. Aspects to a problem are memories that are providing the support, evidence, and proof for the problem. One problem will often have many different memories supporting it. Yes, indeed. Changing a single memory may not change a problem. There may be several other memories or aspects that are still supporting the problem. If you change one or more memories and you're still experiencing the problem, it doesn't mean that what you've done hasn't worked. It just means there's still some memories supporting it. Use the art of change to find those and flip them. Inside of each memory that supports the whole problem, there will be many aspects. The brain has an organizational system called the limbic system and the amygdala. I don't know.
Amygdala.
Amygdala, okay, grazie. Which is a part of it and will organize throughout the brain the different aspects of the memory: visual, kinesthetically, auditory, olfactory, and gustatory, such as expressions on faces, visually seeing someone being hit, and words said that hurt. For me, I like this because it kind of reminds you that, don't quit. I mean, for me, it's like, hey, don't stop because something else is going to come up, that you can't stop until the fat lady sings or whatever. And so to me, that's for this is real important that you try to make sure you've not overlooked something. But if you did and it comes back, to jump in your face, get rid of it. So, okay, those are my
Thank you.
things. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, we have tended to this forest all our life. You know, there are a lot of trees inside it. We take one memory out, but a lot of memories have been formed based on that one big problem, right? That big belief or whatever, So just keep taking them down one at a time. Persistence. Yeah. Anyone else? Any other insights on it? All right. We can perhaps cover up the sensations, emotions, and feelings on the next page. Who would like to read? Anyone?
I'm happy to read.
Please.
Sensations, emotions, and feelings. All feelings and thoughts originate in the subconscious or the unconscious mind, the limbic system. This includes depression, anxiety, phobias, obsessions, urges, and other unwanted behaviors. All positive and productive thoughts and behaviors also originate in the subconscious, the unconscious mind, the limbic system. Thoughts create feelings in the body, and when they are perceived as negative, it creates distress, which is recognized as an uncomfortable feelings, all feelings, emotions, and actions from the subconscious, unconscious mind. Production is positive, protective, and for the preservation based on inner recordings. To the subconscious mind, there are no bad or good feelings, but only programs for survival. Thoughts and feelings come into conscious awareness without any effort on our part, since they begin in the subconscious unconscious area, trying to consistently or consciously fight these feelings. Right, let's try that again. Trying to consciously fight these feelings becomes a battle and creates further distress. With eutaptics, you can change your thoughts at the core, which allow you to create better feelings in the body, reducing or eliminating stress and allowing you to create desirable outcomes. Much of this comes from being triggered from things around us, and that leads us to these unconscious pieces. So it's why it's exhausting to try and mute them. So if we reprogram, it's so much easier. Of course, the mind will produce feelings, which are chemical reactions in the body. All feelings, emotions, and impulses are the result of chemicals being pumped through the bloodstream. The type of feeling or emotion will depend on the mix of chemicals the mind produces. Negative emotions are caused by self-protective stress chemicals like adrenaline and cortisol. Positive feelings are also built from chemicals and hormones like endorphins and oxytocin and dopamine from the mind. Want me to keep going?
Yeah, sure. Do you have any insights on that? Like, I know you shared some things, but anything else coming up?
I think that we are a world of addicted dopamine dependence. We need it, but ultimately the devices that we've brought into our lives, based on the game theory and how they work, it stimulates us all the time, and we constantly chase it, unfortunately.
Certainly we do. Yeah.
And that's why so many things like TV and watching video and social media is addictive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, certainly. Thank you. Hey, Torian, did you have a question?
Just a comment. So like what he was saying with like the continuing to like up our dopamine and everything, we do that with like TV, video games, and things like that. Um, do you think that's something of like, how do I put this? Like I know we're all of different generations here, but like my generation and the one before it was pumped so full of hormones and chemicals because there was no EPA laws but before they weren't doing it because those chemicals didn't exist. Um, it's showing. I was actually writing a research paper for my master's last night. That it shows that there's a 70% increase on ADHD for women and men, but especially they're noticing it more in women because it just wasn't studied before. Loveliness. And so the constant need for dopamine is like I have really bad ADHD. So if I'm not playing with something, if I'm not like stimmed at some point, I'm sitting there like you can see me like going, oh, okay, this is great. When I gonna go home? So it's just interesting to see like I guess the different needs of dopamine and like dopamine like satisfaction per generation. It broke it all down and everything because like people that are in their like 70s like enjoy reading, but people in their like teens, 20s, 30s, we enjoy playing video games, going out and hanging out with our friends at nightclubs, stuff like that, or like but they've noticed that because of the chemicals that we were exposed to as kids, like example, Kraft mac and cheese. Don't eat that anymore. Everybody, stop eating that. They just got a huge lawsuit because you know how on the front of it says no artificial flavors or colors. That was completely like a lie, and they figured out that like a lot of people got hurt from it. So like I don't know, it was just interesting watching like the different levels of like what people had and like what companies were doing versus like how their like dopamine and brains were affected.
Yeah, certainly. Thank you. And like what I've learned with this is like whenever there's And this is like, okay, yes, if the person wants to change this problem, like you were saying, Toria, right? There's this ADHD. So if you want to be still or just read and enjoy a walk, but then there's this ADHD coming up. So how do you know? How do you know you have this problem? Like, uh, like you start feeling these chemicals or like the lack thereof, right? How do you know? Like, what's that split second of thought before that, or that whatever is coming up, it's like, oh, I need to do something. Oh, I'm feeling this anxiety. Like, what's that thought? And just noticing that, being with that, and then you just tap through it, work through it, and then just bring it down, bring the thoughts down of this ADHD feeling, right? So it's all about just noticing what's going on in the brain, if it's like the hormonal thing, or like what's the thought, right? That split thought before that, before you start feeling that. Just noticing that feeling in the body, and just you sit with that and tap through that instead of just running after the addiction. Right.
Mhm.
Yes.
If I may add, ADHD people like myself have a tendency to be desensitized to dopamine. So, what an ordinary amount of stimulation for your neurotypical person versus an atypical person um, would satisfy them, but wouldn't necessarily keep an ADHD person happy or satisfied. So again, we need more stimulation, which is interesting because how they slow down and calm an ADHD person is by giving them a stimulant, so that we don't have to squirrel from one thing to the next as much, because we're getting so much more out of staying focused on the amount of stimulation that might be present. Sorry, that got complicated, but
Interesting. Very interesting. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah. So perhaps like bringing in a more productive stimulant, like a more productive thing that they would like to do, but they're not able to because, like if they're like, say, for example, video games are designed to be this biggest stimulant. They just hack and hijack all aspects of our brain. And what is it that could be just as much rewarding or maybe even more? How can we take charge, perhaps? I don't know if that rings a bell, or that sounds like something that would be helpful. I don't know.
I personally feel like it depends. I don't know. Everybody ADHD is a hell of a lot different, but
Hmm.
like to get my thought level away from the certain like feeling or everything, I have to do something else. So it's but I've been finding like healthier stems and everything. Because like 2 or 3 years ago, I used to just honestly drink a lot. And now I don't. But like I'll have to like clean something, or like I'll go to take the dogs on a walk or something. So there's a healthier stems and everything, but it's still in need of like, okay, my it's it feels like, in my opinion, and again, everybody's also is different. When my ADHD goes off and everything, it feels like everything's happening at once. And if I focus on one thing, one task, not everything is happening all the time at once. And it gives me dopamine to like chill, focus on the one thing, depending, no matter what it is.
Certainly. And perhaps like adding all five modalities to that one task that is the productive task that you want to, perhaps like you want to do something, you want to be this person, this kind of person, you want to do these things. And so adding all five modalities and making it as interesting as possible, perhaps like
Mm.
turning on some music, or like if you're taking the dogs on the walk, you're feeling that kinesthetic, like adding some music on and feeling those, like really becoming aware of our bodies, Like what's a good sensation I'm feeling in my body, this just taking in the visuals, like really engaging the brain in all five senses, if that helps.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. I'll definitely try that next time.
Yeah, smelling, tasting, just really becoming aware in the moment of all five senses.
Well, with smelling, actually, and I recommend this to anybody that has any sort of, they sell them on Amazon. They're called like boomstick. It's basically little tiny things that are about this big that you like. It's not snorting like chemical, but it's it's certain like pheromones and certain like aromas and everything. Like I have one for energy that definitely works better than the Red Bull, but I have one for like sleeping that like I'm almost knocked out, or like one for love, one for happy. I got it for Christmas last year and I just tried it and I loved it. So it
Cool.
definitely connects like the smelling part too, because I feel like because smells the strong one of the strongest memory recalls.
Correct. And these are with pheromones. They're like, so they're pheromonal.
Kind of, I don't really know anything to explain. It's more oh God, what's it called? Essential oils with a little bit of like pheromone techno. I don't really understand it. It just works. And they're
So
not like,
interesting.
yeah, and I was like, I looked it up, they're safe. There's nothing not wrong with them. So I was like, why not if it works?
Right. So to re-engage the brain, if you got ADHD, so because the brain is so addicted to something else, so the little bit of pheromones could help it like be engaged in something useful and productive.
Yeah, it really helps.
Yeah,
I've been using
that's
the
good.
energy one a lot for my master's program.
Nice. Yeah. Any other insights, anyone? Any examples or Randall, if you would like to finish up this section?
Sure. That's with important facts about feelings.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so feelings, emotions, and sensations are all the same thing. Emotions are names we give to those feelings and sensations. The subconscious, unconscious mind, limbic system uses sensations and feelings to motivate and to bring awareness to the conscious mind. The body follows the mind. When you focus on something positive, your body will produce chemicals that make you feel good. And when you focus on something negative, your body will produce chemicals that make you feel bad. But it doesn't know the difference between good and bad. It just knows what it's producing. Right? Shifting your attention from negative emotion or feeling to a positive can change the memory that created the sensations, emotions, and feelings. But there must be a rewriting of these memories to naturally respond in a healthier way to the future. In NLPs, that's called reframing, right? You reframe the memory so it has a different meaning to you. The foundation of eutaptics and fast EFT is one of simple truth. Is this one simple truth? What you think your body will follow. Therefore, we change what is in the mind, and the body will change. The conscious mind can divert attention and therefore change how you feel in the moment. Since the body follows the mind, changing your focus can shift the physical sensations in the body, but it will not change the unpleasant memories. There must be a rewriting of these memories in order to naturally respond in a healthier way in the future, or you'll continue the same cycle.
Any insights on that, Randall?
Well, one of the things about olfactory or aromatherapy is that they know that it bypasses the limbic system, which is your logic system. So, often we are stimulated by something and then we interpret what this means to us, and then it affects how we respond to it. Happy, sad, fearful, whatever, angry. But the aromatherapy bypasses that limbic system and it actually goes right to the part of the brain that produces the chemicals of sensation or feelings. And so Western medicine actually legitimately acknowledges aromatherapy as something legitimate and not psychological, because of you can apply lavender and you will produce certain hormones that make you feel more relaxed. energy. Peppermint and ginger is a really good combination.
Right. Definitely. Thank you. And yeah, we can use these as an aid to change how we're feeling in the moment, change the memories, and certainly it's really cool. You can work with ADHD and focus on something we want and then bring in these aids to perhaps, associate good feelings, good, pheromones to the desirable outcome.
Have you worked with people with ADHD within Faster EFT to help them be less affected by that?
I am actually working with my son right now. He has the same ADHD problem, so it's just all about like associating, the good, like coming back to the good stuff and like focusing, coming back, and how can we change, go from the ADHD and not being able to do the things we want to, coming back to the present. And so, yeah, certainly, it's very interesting. Yeah.
ADHD people don't, while they do tend to squirrel, or they're easily led to focus on one thing and then another, certainly have the capabilities of going very, very deep down a well if there's enough stimulation to keep you focused on that.
Exactly. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I totally agree with that. I mean, I feel like ADHD people are geniuses. They just they don't fit in the normal sense of, like the accepted world. But wow, because when they have the right stimulation and the right thing that they're doing,
Yeah.
they are geniuses. They go deep, and the insights and the skillfulness and the knowledge is so amazing. So yeah.
Geniuses are not particularly well balanced in their lives either, right? Because they are hyper focused on something and nothing will take them away from that.
Exactly.
But it doesn't mean that they understand social interaction, for example.
Right. And, it's like not everyone has to be like a little bit of everything. I find that much more valuable when we can do one thing to this degree of perfection that, and then they call it ADHD. I feel like you're made here for this perfection. So I think it's just amazing. And then also bringing the awareness and changing the meaning of ADHD, reframing that. It's like I'm not ADHD. It changed that abbreviation to like, I don't know, advanced, hyper focus, whatever. I mean, because it's about changing the meaning of, I have a problem, I'm ADHD, to I'm actually a super focused, super I go deep, I do things to perfection. So it's about changing the meaning and not beating ourselves up as well.
We do have superpowers.
Yeah, I agree with that. I totally agree with that. Yeah.
I prefer the term neurodivergent. That's sort of more modern, but that could mean many things, not just attention deficit, which is again kind of funny because we don't really have a deficit to attention.
Exactly. No, not true. Yeah. It's not attention deficient, it's attention in like one specific thing that you're so good at?
As long as there's enough stimulation to stay focused on it, yeah. Which is why
Yeah.
manifesting or focusing on the positive feelings around what it is that you're trying to stay focused on makes it so much easier.
Yes. So much. Definitely. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. This was a really good meeting, and it was a really good discussion on ADHD and all that, because there are so many of so-called ADHD people out there, but it's all about just bringing the awareness and accepting ourselves for it, because I think it's a superpower for sure. Yeah. So thank you, everyone. It was really good meeting you all and good discussion. So thank you for being here. I'll see you guys next week. And next week, let's focus on the saboteur, intelligent idiot, trans monkey, metaphoric mind. Those are really amazing topics. Those are really good. I love those all. So I'll see you guys next week. I believe we're getting close to Christmas, but I'll be here if you guys are here. What's the date next week? The 23rd. So yeah. See you guys then.
Excellent.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Bye.